Hello, I'm Mark Forsyth, and welcome to lesson number 10 on how to write English verse. In this lesson, we're just going to study The Donkey by G.K. Chesterton. It's a poem. It's going to be quite a long lesson because a friend of mine was telling me that these lessons are too hurried and that people might not be able to learn because I'm going over the information so fast. So what I thought I would do would be to take one poem, 16 lines long, and go through it line by line and word by word to show how the verse works. As I said in the first lesson, the thing about English verse is it all relies on stress, because in the English language we quite naturally, when we're speaking, stress some words more than others, and we stress some syllables of words more than others. And what a poet does is they arrange their words in such a way that those stresses form a pattern and a rhythm, and that's what the verse is, the pleasant rhythm you get as you go through. There's not going to be much new information in this lesson, so feel free to skip it if it's insanely boring, which it may well be. But let us go. I hope you know the G.K. Chesterton poem. It's in most of the anthologies. You can find it on the internet. It goes with the one that goes, "When fishes flew and forests walked and figs grew upon thorns, some moment when the moon was blood, then surely I was born." It's one of the nation's favourite poems and all that, and it's a wonderful poem. And so, stress. How does stress work? Well, sometimes if you have a word which is more than one syllable, then there'll always be natural syllables that you put the stress on. And, for example, the word fishes here is 2 syllables long. And if you're trying to work out where the stress is, and all I'm doing here is analysing what you would do naturally, how we talk naturally. So if you want to work out where the stress on fishes is, if you're not sure, then the way to do it is to try it both ways. Try stressing it on the first syllable, and you get fishes, overemphasise it a bit, fishes. Or try stressing it on the second syllable and see how that sounds, fishes. And if you're a native English speaker, you should have noticed that fishes sounds just really weird. So we can see that the stress is on fish and the soft unstress is on es. And we notate that, the standard way of doing it, if you want to do it, is to put a cross over the stressed syllable and a dash over the soft unstressed syllable. The other thing we do is naturally we tend not to stress prepositions and conjunctions and all those little connecting words that put sentences together, like and, by, to, the, because you would say the Queen, you wouldn't say the Queen. It would, except in some very special circumstances. And obviously you could put lots of stress on the word when here. You could say when fishes flew in forests, but that would be odd. Naturally, especially because it's next to a stressed syllable, you naturally say that softly. So you'd say when fishes flew. So we are going to put a dash over that. But you do stress nouns, verbs. You tend to stress nouns, verbs, and those words which are important to the meaning of the sentence, like, for example, flew right here. Conjunction and, no, why would you do that? You could, obviously, you could say when fishes flew and forests walked. If you were in some sort of argument with somebody saying only one or the other, but that would be unusual, so we will put a little dash over the and. Forests, like fishes, is a 2-syllable word, so you can try it both ways. You can try it with the stress on the first syllable, forests, or you can try it with the stress on the second syllable, forests. And forests sounds weird, it sounds wrong. And you can work that out by exaggerating it and just saying it more strongly, as though you were angry, as though you were shouting it at somebody across the street. You'd shout, forests! I don't know why you'd be shouting forests at somebody across the street, but if you were, that's how you would do it. You put the stress on the first syllable and then not on the second syllable. And then same thing, the same rule applies to walked as applies to flew, etc. It's an important word in the sentence. Forests walking is a strange thing, etc., etc. And so you would naturally stress that. So you end up with da-dum, 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 da-dum. Soft, stressed, soft, stressed, soft, stressed, soft, stressed. When fishes flew and forests walked. And that's just the natural way that would come out of your mouth. That line would come out of your mouth. And that's also how Chesterton knew you would say it. This is an intentional pattern that Chesterton was forcing you into when he wrote this poem. He knew the reader, even though they'd never heard him say the lines, would pick it up and say it like this, with the stresses coming out like that. Now, oddly enough, I picked this poem at random, by the way, roughly at random. I opened a book of favourite poems, the Collins book of Best Loved Verse or something, I think it is, at random, and came to this. The second line is actually the trickiest line in the poem from the point of view of verse, but we may as well grasp the nettle here right now. And is one of those filler conjunction words, so you are very unlikely to stress that. Simply like that. Figs, noun, important word, so we stress that. And figs. But here we have our first variation of the poem, because upon, now upon is a two-syllable word, obviously, and usually we would put some stress on the second syllable more than the first syllable. It's upon, not upon. But it's right next to grew, and grew is a verb, and a more important word than upon, which is just a preposition, just a little unimportant word. So you can try this various ways, and we can give it a quick go. You could say, and figs grew up upon thorn, but that sounds a bit weird. Or you could say, and figs grew upon thorn, which again sounds odd. Though you could say that. Obviously you could say it any way you like. There's no police force to stop you. But you're much more likely, I think, to say, and figs grew upon thorn, and just make the whole of upon an unstressed word. I think that sounds more normal. And as I say, this is all about what sounds natural as it's coming out of your mouth. It's not something you have to learn. All we're doing is analysing what you do naturally. And Chesterton knew what you would do naturally, which is what made him a great poet. So I would put the stress on grew, two stressed syllables in a row, and then have upon being unstressed entirely. God, I'm writing. And then you would stress the noun thorn. I apologise for my presentational style, etc., etc. It's very weird. I'm in a flat on my own talking to a machine. It's strange. There we are. And figs grew upon thorn is the natural way that I think you would pronounce that. Get on to line 3, and we have the same thing applying as we had in line 1. You've got moment, which is obviously, what is it? Is it, try it, is it moment or is it moment? Moment? It's moment. So stress on the first syllable. And not stress there. Some is just a filler word. Could be a or the or something like that, but he wrote some moment. It's got the nice alliteration probably. And as I say, we're going to emphasise the nouns more than the filler words. So I think we can put in moon and blood there as both being stressed. But what that means is the moon, so there is going to be unstressed. The word when here, now when we saw when, when that popped up as the first word of the first line, I said it's a less important word, so it doesn't take the stress. And that's because it's next to fishes, when fishes flew. And you're much more likely to, naturally we tend to fall into rhythms. We're not sure about having long lines of stressed syllables, hard to do unless you're like sort of banging the table with your fist, or long lines of unstressed syllables. We tend to put a stress somewhere if you've got innuendo. So naturally, I think we would say some moment when the moon was blood. You could, of course, say some moment when the moon was blood and just not stress at all, but I think that would be unnatural. It would be much more like to say some moment when the moon was blood. And so we shall put a stress there. And what we have, therefore, is, again, da-dum, 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 da-dum. Some moment when the moon was blood. And here we have the last line of the first verse. We're a quarter way through now. Then surely I was born. Surely, try that both ways. Surely, Julie sounds like an alien word. So surely is like that. Then is just a connector, so it's unstressed. And then we have I was born. Now, how you say that is, you could say I was born, put the stress on was. But that would be unlikely, unnatural. You'd only say that if somebody says, you were never born, and you say, I was born. Outside of a strange, surreal conversation like that, you're much more likely to say, I was born. Dum-da-dum. That's how I would say it if I was saying, I was born in London town. Sounds like the first line of a terrible song. I was born. So I would put the stress as I, stressed, was unstressed, and then born, stressed. Now, we can therefore see if I've done this right. I hope I have. We take the those 4 sheets of paper and we arrange them. It's like a bad episode of Blue Peter. We arrange them like so, and we can see the rhythm which comes out like that. So it goes ta-tum, 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 tum, ta-ta-tum, ta-tum, 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 ta-tum. And that's the form of the whole verse. We've got, you can see a pattern emerging. We've got 8 syllables in the first line, 6 in the second, 8 in the third, 6 in the fourth. Each one, the first line there, each one has half of them are stressed and half of them are unstressed, and it's alternating the first, third and fourth lines. And almost perfectly throughout, it's going to just ta-tum, 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 ta-tum. There's one ta-tum, which has been switched over, as it were, flipped to a tumta, and that's in the second one of the second line, and figs grew upon thorns. But other than that, we've been pretty regular. So we can now move on to verse number 2. So here we are with again we have the pointless connector word. So the line is with monstrous head and sickening cry. Now I hope, by the way, you can read all this. It's possible to expand a YouTube video to fill the whole screen, which may be useful, so you can see. But we have our with, little filler word, who cares. Monstrous. Is it monstrous or is it monstrous? Monstrous. I think it's monstrous. And then we have head, a noun, important word, so we're going to put some stress on that. And is a boring filler conjunction. And now we get to the word sickening here. Now there are 2 ways of pronouncing the word sickening correctly in the English language. You can pronounce it as 3 syllables, sickening, da-da-dum, or you can pronounce it as, and you're probably more likely to pronounce it as 2 syllables and just go sickening, sickening. And in that the stress would definitely be on the first syllable. It would be sickening, not sickening. So I'm going to put that down as 2. You can put it down as 3 if you like, but you could put extra on that. But it's up to you. I think generally speaking it would be stressed, non-stressed, and we're going to ignore that E in the middle. And then we have cry there. So again, we've got 8 syllables and it's alternating soft and stressed. Ta-tum, 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 ta-tum. Or possibly ta-tum, 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 ta-tum. With monstrous head and sickening cry. And here we are with our next line. Again, and, conjunction, not stressed, ears, an important noun, so stressed. Errant, here, is it errant or is it errant? And the answer is it's errant. And so like there is going to be unstressed because it's a less important word and between 2 stressed syllables, and naturally therefore one syllable tends to sort of crowd out the other if there's a definite stressed syllable, like the ears or the in errant. And wings, finally. Noun getting a nice big stress. So again, you can see it's the second line and it's 6 syllables, alternating soft, stressed, soft, stressed, soft, stressed. Da-dum, 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 da-dum. And ears like errant wings. Let me pull out this one. And we've got devil there. Is it devil or devil? It's devil only in 101 Dalmatians, so we are going for like that. The is just an article, not an important word, unstressed. Walking, is it walking or walking? It's participles, it's always a stress on the first syllable. So we're going to do walking. That's how you say it if you were shouting at somebody across the street. Walking! You would not say walking, it'd be strange. Word parody here, we've got 3 syllables there. And odd enough, so with a 3-syllable word like that, you can actually pronounce it 2 ways. You could say parody with all of the stress on the first syllable and then 2 unstressed syllables. Or you can pronounce it parody. God, I've been talking for 16 minutes. Parody, and I'm going to go for parody. So we've got, again, 8 syllables, alternating soft and stressed. Ta-tum, 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 ta-tum. And here we have our final line. On all 4-footed things. Oh, there's a hyphen here, I typed that wrong. On all four Now, this would on its own be quite an ambiguous line, but I think because we've been getting this rhythm going in our heads for, this is the 8th line now, that we would naturally, you could say all 4-footed things, or you put stress on 4 there. Footed is 2 syllables, has to be stressed as footed, not footed. Things is going to be stressed, but I would say on definitely not stressed. I would say that stress falls on all, so you'd say on all 4-footed things rather than on all 4-footed things. It's just the rhythm which we've got going already. With monstrous head and sickening cry and ears like errant wings, the devil's walking parody on all 4-footed things. There's a rhythm going now. So stress it like that. Ta-tum, ta-tum, ta-tum. On all 4-footed things. And we will notice again, therefore, that we have had, I'll give you a little cheat sheet, because this is exactly how that last stanza has gone. It has been entirely regularly alternating ta-tum, 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 with monstrous head and sickening cry and ears like errant wings, the devil's walking parody on all 4-footed things. The tattered outlaw of the earth. Tattered, definitely stress on the first. The, just an article, not stressed. Is it outlaw or outlaw? It's outlaw. Earth stressed, and so we've got, therefore, the classic case of a word, in this case, of, which, because it is far away from any other stressed syllable, you start putting the stress on it, and we've also got that rhythm going in our heads, so we are going to stress the word of, and so we're going to say it naturally. The tattered outlaw of the earth. Da-dum, 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 da-dum. Of ancient crooked will, of unstressed, because it's just a silly little word. Ancient, is it ancient? Is it ancient or is it ancient? Ancient. Is it crooked or crooked? It's crooked. And then will, as a noun there, gets stress. Of ancient crooked will. This is a slightly odd one. Star scourge, deride me, I am dumb. Because naturally you might well put stress on starve. Deride we can do quickly. It's deride, not deride. Deride sounds like some strange chemical. I am dumb. Same rules that we applied to I was born. I am dumb. Me, therefore, will unstress. Starve, scourge. You might put stress on the starve. You might stress both words. I think that might be quite natural. Starve, scourge, deride me, I am dumb. Or you could go starve, scourge, deride me, I am dumb. So, I'm not sure. I think I might, as a weird variant, go like that and say that we have two stresses and this is a weird variant line. Starve, scourge, deride me, I am dumb. And then finally, we have I keep my secret still. So we've got two syllable words. Secret, is that secret or secret? Secret, secret, secret. Still, nice important word, giving stress. I keep my secret still. You could stress I keep my secret still, but it's, well, I think you just go, I keep my secret still. And so again, that's the third verse we've finished now. The tattered outlaw of the earth, of ancient crooked will, starve, scourge, deride me, I am dumb, I keep my secret still. It's 8 syllables, followed by 6 syllables, followed by 8 syllables, followed by 6 syllables, and it's alternating stresses almost entirely, apart from that starve, scourge, which is ambiguous. It's to-tum, 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 to-tum. Last verse. Fools, for I also had my hour. Now, fools has to be stressed. We know it has to be stressed. It's even got an exclamation mark. That's got to be stressed, which has been unusual in this poem because usually that first word of the line has been unstressed, but we have an exclamation mark. Got to be there. Also, 2-syllable word. We know that, well, you can try it. You can say also, also, yeah, it's also. And dash. Had my hour. Well, hour is definitely stressed. My is going to be unstressed. And so how are we going to say this? Well, just try to naturally. Fools, for I also had my hour. So that's the way I said it there, for I also had my hour. Double non-stress. And then we're going to put stress on had because otherwise it would be lonely. And you don't like having 3 unstressed syllables in a row. It's sort of unnatural in English. So, fools, for I also had my hour. One far fierce hour and sweet. Slightly ambiguous here, but let's fill in hour and sweet is going to have to be stress, soft, stress. And one far fierce hour and sweet. You could say one far fierce hour and sweet, but I think its stress falls naturally on far as you go. One far fierce hour and sweet. And especially because the rhythm has been going for a long time now, so we're getting used to this. So one far fierce hour and sweet. It's a point at which verse has enough momentum that people just start reading it quite naturally and happily in the right rhythm. You go, there was a shout about my ears. There was, yes, there, boring little word, was a boring short word. Shout, big noun. About, or is it about? About, it's about. Stress on the second syllable. Also, nice little internal rhyme with shout. And then my ears is the noun, and so take stress. So again, we get 8 syllables, alternating soft and stressed. There was a shout about my ears. And last line of the poem. And palms, and unimportant, palms before my feet. Before, it's before, not before. Before. No, before. Stress on the second syllable. My feet. Feet being the noun takes the stress, and so we get to-tum, to-tum, to-tum. So that, again, apart from one flip on that, the first line of that verse where you read, fools, for I also had my hour, one far fierce hour and sweet. There was a shout about my ears and palms before my feet. Has been regular, 8 syllables, 6 syllables, 8 syllables, 6 syllables. always alternating between soft and stressed and soft and stressed, which means I have done this all in one take. We go back to the ballad. There is the diagram. The whole poem has followed this pretty much. In the first verse, we had a little variant. We flipped that da-dum to make it dum-da. And we had possible, in the Starve, Scourged, or I Me, I'm Dumb, arguably that one. The first unstressed syllable, third line was stressed. And in that last verse, when it went fools, for I also had my hour, that was definitely flipped, that one. Those are the three little variants that Chesterton used, but otherwise it has been following this pattern very closely. This is called the Ballad Metre. It's what Emily Dickinson wrote in. Because I could not stop for death, he kindly stopped for me. The carriage held but just ourselves and immortality. It's what Oscar Wilde wrote the Ballad of Reading Gaol in. For each man kills the thing he loves, by each let this be heard. The brave man does it with, some oh, brave man does the coward does it with a kiss, the brave man with a sword. My apologies. This is a metre which has been used all over English poetry. It's a lovely metre, and it's what Chesterton chose to write Donkey in, and it's beautiful. And as a little bonus piece of trivia, anything written in ballad metre can be sung to the tune of O Little Town of Bethlehem, or to the tune of The House of the Rising Sun, because actually you can sing either of those to the other tune. But ta-tum, 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 ta-tum. That's the ballad metre. We've gone through the whole thing, and I hope that's made it clear for those people that I have confused or hurried over, and you now know the full scansion of Donkey. Incidentally, I chose Donkey at random. I just opened the book of verse, but I once, for various strange reasons, I was in a field at about 4 in the morning in the middle of nowhere in the south of France, and I found a donkey, and so I recited that whole poem to him, and he didn't understand it at all, presumably because he was French donkey. Don't know. Anyway, congratulations if you've sat through the whole of this, and next time we should be doing trimeters, I think, probably. Anyway, until next time.